Morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another hour of the Real Talk with Judy show. We're so glad to have you all tuned in. For those of you who are returning, I want to say thank you so very much for returning. And for those of you, this is your first time being here, I want to say thank you so very much for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy show. I am absolutely honored to have you all. We're going to have a great show today as usual. And so we want you to go ahead and call somebody and tell them that we're on. We're dealing with the cancer knockout today, and that's what we're going to be talking about, cancer knockout. And so when we have some good guests here, I'm excited about our guests this morning, very excited about our guests. I am Dr. Judy, your Real Talk host, and I am so glad and honored that you tuned in. Before I get started, I want to say hello to my mom, Mother Dr. Irma Hunter Wesley in Fort Lauderdale, who is tuned in, and also to my platinum partner and investor, my sister, Tanya Wesley Powell. God bless you, Tanya. So good to have you on. To my husband and executive producer and platinum sponsor, senior pastor of Life Changers, Dr. Jeremy Mandrell. So glad to have you on. To everybody who's tuning in, glad to have you tuned in. Also to Tanya, I said Tanya, Carolyn and Doug, Danette, Judge Judith Hawkins, Faye Bruns and James Evans, Richard Meeks, Bruce Brown, Mother Carrie Smith, Pastor Seller. To all of my business sponsors, Life Changers, Dream Builders, K&D Creative Designs and Marketing Solution. I tell you, if you need anything done, go ahead and contact Miss Priscilla John Lewis and let her get all of your marketing things up and going. Also, we want to Wanda Davis Photography, the law officers of Craig J. Brown, PA, Dr. Michelle Mitchum in the Tallahassee Woman Magazine, Tallahassee Sister Girls Network, Bada Bean, Jeff Paint and Body Shop, Village Inn on the Parkway. And to all of those who have made an investment into the Real Talk with Judy show, I want to say thank you all so very much for believing in what we do and what we say. And I invite more of you to become a partner with us as we continue to invest in the well-being of our community by bringing real issues discussed by real people with real suggested solutions. And we're glad to do that. So to give a financial contribution or investment or to become a partner with the Real Talk with Judy show, I invite you to visit my website at www.realtalkwithjudy.com. And it would be absolutely fantastic. And I want to say hello to Miss Patricia Wilson out in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you so very much for tuning in as well, and to everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and do a prayer so we can get this show started. Father, we ask you to bless this show today. Move by your power and let these gentlemen and us bless somebody's hearts. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. Well, we want to welcome to our show. I first want to say Dr. Davis was supposed to be joining us today, but due to circumstances beyond her control, she's not available to be with us today. She's tuned in. So hello, Dr. Davis, and we're going to carry this show on. But y'all know Dr. Davis love what she does. She is the founder and director of the Cancer Knockout Foundation, and she's sponsoring a cancer survivor banquet. The banquet will celebrate and honor heroes and sheroes who have survived and conquered cancer. And that's next Thursday, October the 24th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Capital City Country Club. And listen to this, everybody, and tell your cancer friend or your family members who have survived cancer or who's dealing with it right now. It's always a great event. The banquet is free for all cancer survivors. It's free for all cancer survivors, and just $35 for family and friends and all other guests. It is her way. She has survived 2 bouts of cancer, breast cancer and the gastro cancer, but she has survived both of those. And this is her way of giving back and encouraging others who have survived cancer, who's dealing with it now, or conquered, but she wants to say, hey, we can do this. You know, I am the storm. That's that, and that's what she wants to do. Right. And this is the 6th year. And and today we have as my special guest, and I am absolutely honored to have 2 gentlemen here to talk about the cancer knockout. 2 gentlemen who have dealt with it in different perspectives. First, we have Mr. Gerald Tooks, who's the owner of
Gerald Tooks Aerial Productions.
Yeah, he does the drone and all of that. You do a good job. You got some real nice. You used to be on the radio a long time ago.
Long time ago, I was a radio person.
WANM,
the original WANM AM with Joe Bullock.
With Joe Bullock, Chico the Virgo.
Chico the Virgo.
That's my brother, you know.
Oh no, I didn't know
that. You didn't know that?
No,
I
know that.
So we wanna thank you so very much, Mr. Tooks, for being here. And we're gonna get into your story in just a little bit, but we're glad to have you. So glad and honored that you can be here.
I'm honored to be here as well.
And we also have as a special guest, and he just said he was nervous, but we have Attorney Eric Trombley, who is of the Office of the State Attorney.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Campbell. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. You work with Mr. Campbell.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, you're not afraid to talk. Yeah, but we're so glad to have you here as well.
I'm honored. Thank you very much for having me.
And you're also going to be one of the speakers or special guests at the Cancer Knockout.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're looking forward to a great time. One of the things that I noticed of where I read up on is that male breast cancer is very rare.
Yes.
And it said less than 1% of all breast cancer cases develop in men, and only 1 in 1,000 men would ever be diagnosed with breast cancer.
Right.
Yeah, it said cancer in men is usually detected as a hard lump underneath your nipple or something. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Tooks, Gerald Tooks, you was the caretaker, but your father had breast cancer.
That's correct.
Wow, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's been, I think it was in the fall of 2013 when he was diagnosed with it. And I remember him telling me, you know, he had something to tell me and having that conversation with him and the decisions that he had to make as it relates to what kind of treatment, you know, in terms of like the surgery. That's correct. Once we made the surgery decision, that took place in January of 2014. His treatment after that was 4 chemo treatments over a 4-month period, and shortly after that it was 6 weeks of radiation treatment every day. For 6 weeks, so about 30 treatments or so for 36 treatments or so for the radiation every day, and then shortly thereafter he, you know, they removed all of the tissue at that time, and of course, you know, just making sure that he was still, you know, cancer free throughout his testing and whatnot. Just unfortunate for him. It happened. He passed in December 2016. Yeah, thank you. I noticed a change shortly after my daughter graduated from FAMU in May of 2016, because he was well enough, but we was thinking that he was having just dehydration at the graduation. Had an appointment at Moffitt Clinic down in Tampa. Everything seemed to check out fine, but later on that fall is when I noticed some more things starting to change with him. And that being that he just seemed a lot more tired. He didn't have the kind of energy that he normally would have, but he would always say, "I'm okay, don't worry about me, I'm fine, keep doing what you're doing." And my wife was having a procedure in November of 2016, and the same time my dad was taken to the hospital. And so upstairs was my wife, downstairs was my dad.
Wow, that seems like a lot.
Exactly, and it was during that time that we had discovered that his tumor had returned, and you know, mass in his chest. And at that point in time, it really was, you know, too much, too late in a sense to do anything about it. So he basically passed away in the hospital. He was there for about 10 days, and passed away on December 9th.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, we're so sorry to hear that. You were the caretaker.
I was, and you know, talking with Brother Eric, or listening to Brother Eric earlier, and him saying the type of, you know, cancer that he has. My mother had the same cancer, so I was dealing with both of them at the same time.
Your mom and your dad.
My mom and my dad.
And then your wife was having another procedure down
the line, but
wow.
yeah. So it was definitely a struggle. You know, just having to make all those appointments, you know, with the parents, and at the same time still trying to, you know, take care of family, of, you know, working, and you know, and I think that's at the point in time I was starting to develop my business.
Okay.
And so I was trying to kind of find my way through all of that, learning about the drones and things like that, and at the same time trying to take care of them. So it was definitely a challenge and a struggle.
Wow. And I know just hearing the cancer, but then to come and your dad is diagnosed with breast cancer, which is usually, I think men are becoming more aware or thinking about it now, but there was a time that breast cancer we didn't really pay attention to it in men.
No.
Yeah.
No, and when he said it, I thought, I've never heard of that, you know what I mean? And so I started doing my research. Then come to find out, I had a close friend. My father was a school principal years ago, and one of his former students was a friend of mine. He had breast cancer.
Okay. And
he's a 13, at the time he was a 13-year survivor. He's still living right now, and I asked him if I could do a video.
Okay.
And just to kind of make people aware of men having too.
Yes.
You know. And that's when I started doing my own research about, in terms of, like, you know, less than 1% of men actually, you know, discover. And then you think about, you know, women get mammograms, and, you know, men not necessarily getting mammograms, but, you know, how do you detect it other than maybe the lump, as you say?
Yeah. Have you found out any other way that they would detect breast cancer in men other than when they feel the lump? Or
that's all I found, and sometimes it says something about a discharge.
Okay, from the nipples.
From the nipples and stuff like that.
It seemed like that would be kind of long, or see, the man made the machine for the mammogram was made by a man,
right?
And I guess you had to have breasts to. He was thinking that I don't know why he made it. I don't know if someone had was in his family or what. But y'all don't have no grip hold to. But with cancer becoming, I guess, more prevalent. I'm hearing about it now. More prevalent in men. We seem like we're gonna have to find a way so that can be detected early.
I think it's a stigma too about men, and, you know, in a sense, the use of the word breast, you know. And I think I heard Beyonce's father recently talk about, you know, he says something about chest, you know, cancer, and I guess you can get cancer in the chest, but, you know, we're talking about a specific area in the chest that you don't think that men would normally check that. Sure. But since my father had it, you know, I started checking.
Okay.
And not only that, I also had to make sure from the gene testing standpoint, you know, that I was okay. Okay. So I consciously think about it
I'm sure.
And you know, as I get older, and you know, I have two kids. I have a daughter and a son. My son is the oldest, and then I have two grandkids. So you know, whether or not that gene is being passed down, and we, you know, to this day we still don't know, in a sense, how he got it. And you know, I detect in some sense that, you know, maybe years ago when he, you know, he used to be a smoker, but I cut that out for him, you know, in my own little way as a child, and not smoking anymore. But he hadn't smoked in probably over 40 plus years.
Wow.
I don't even think they know really how we get breast cancer.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't.
It's a gene.
Yeah, it's a
something. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it goes as important, like Brother Gerald said, you know, us as men, you know, we always had this tough guy attitude.
Right.
And I know when I got sick, it took me a long time to even talk to other people about it, because it was my own personal battle. And I felt like if I talked to others, it kind of showed my own weakness, that I couldn't deal with this. And I think over the years, and I think what we have to do as men is kind of like say, okay, we are not invincible.
Right.
We can get sick too. And it's so important to go get checked out, you know, go to your yearly physical, get all the exams that you have to get, especially the older you get, because, you know, once you get cancer, it's, you know, it's hard to shake off. You know, very few, you know, are lucky enough to have it totally go away, but a majority of us have to deal with it for the rest of our lives. And you know, once you get it, if you can prevent it, that's the best way of handling it.
Yeah. And I like what y'all call each other brother. You know,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I like that, Brother Joe and Brother Eric. So I'm gonna call y'all my brothers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I got sister girls. Yeah, we are
we all God's family.
Oh, we God's family. And Eric, you so sharp.
Oh,
I mean, but you in court today.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought maybe you dressed up like that to come to the Real Talk with Judy show.
And I heard that too, so I made sure we're both
Look, you got it on, man. You look absolutely stunning.
Well,
you know
you,
that. And Eric, as I was reading and looking at your profile,
yes, ma'am.
you were in the beginning of law school, or coming near the end.
The
You
end,
were
yes, ma'am.
the end of your law school, getting ready
Take the bar
to
exam.
take
yes,
the
ma'am.
bar exam, and then you get diagnosed with leukemia.
Yes, ma'am. It was around June of 2001. I took the Michigan bar exam in July of 2001. But during the studying phase, my mom's a nurse.
Okay.
And I was getting a lot of pains in my stomach, and I was losing a lot of weight. And she's thinking, well, maybe you have some ulcers, because you're studying so much. Law school is very stressful. Go to the doctor, get checked out, make sure everything's okay. I'm like, okay, whatever, but I'll go. You know, being stubborn, okay, whatever, I'll go. So I go to the doctor. We're in Michigan at the time. Me and my fiance, and we had a younger daughter at the time. And we go, and I get tested, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, the doctor calls me. Okay, we need you to come in. Okay, no big deal. I'm sure it's going to come back. I have ulcers. So I go back, and she sits me and my fiance down, Susan, and it's like, well, you don't have ulcers. I was like, okay, well, what do I have? She goes, you have leukemia. I'm like, well, what do you mean I have leukemia? What's that? And she was telling me that my blood tests, I believe, and of course I'm not a doctor, but I believe the white blood count is supposed to be between 4,000 and 8,000, and my white blood count was around 180,000.
Wow.
So I was way off the charts, and I was like, okay, well, what do we do now? And she had to refer me to an oncologist up there, and I was like, okay. So I go back to the law library, I call my sister and tell her what I have, and I call my parents and tell them what I have, and of course it devastated them. But to me, it's like, okay, what's next? You know, and I know God has a plan for me.
Yes, sir.
This is not the way I'm going to go out, so let's see what happens. And I did have to take the bar exam, because I already signed up for it in Michigan, so I had to take it. I took it on cancer medication. Luckily, I passed it, so it was a good thing. And then me and my wife decided that, well, we better go back home, because I was meant to go into the military.
Okay.
I wanted to go into the Army or the Air Force, the JAG Corps. They both accepted me, but being leukemia, they can't have me no more. So my wife and I decided to come back to Tallahassee, where our family was, and start treatment down here. So it was life altering in a way that, and some people make fun of me for saying it, in a blessing in a way, because you know, until you're hit with something that hard, you don't experience life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You take life for granted.
For granted.
You take friendship for granted.
Yes.
You know, I tell people all the time, when I walk by a flower, I smell the flower.
Yeah.
When I see animals, I watch the animals.
Yes.
Because stuff like that, when you're gone, you don't see no more.
Exactly.
And then at that point, I realized how precious life was, and that it wasn't about making all the money. It wasn't about seeing how far I could get, or the highest grades I can attend on the bar exam, or getting the best job. It was about living life, and being with family and knowing what's important. And luckily, in December of 2001, I went into remission, and been in remission ever since.
Oh, praise God.
Yeah. I still have good and bad days.
Yeah,
Some days
yeah.
I feel good, some days I feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think of the alternative, it's like, well, I can deal with it.
I can deal with that. I can deal with that. And I know that there is a macho thing about men.
Yes.
They don't want to. It's like if you get sick or you get hurt, some kind of way, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, there's a feeling of like defeat.
Yes.
Because your family look at you as this strong thing, your wife, your children, everybody expects you to be this strong. But at the same time, when you get hit with something, how do you handle as men? And Eric, how did your father and you have any other brothers?
No, I was an only child.
Oh, you're only child.
So I had to deal with all of this. And, as Eric was talking about, his situation, I reflected back to my mom, because see, my mom had leukemia first, so we were dealing with her. My dad was dealing with her more so than I was at the time. And, of course, when he, had discovered that he had breast cancer, you're right. You don't realize how life changes you until you're hit with something that hard that you gotta, immediately start. Your whole mindset just shifts. From a caregiver standpoint, it's about, all right, what's next? What appointment do we have? And when do I need to be there? What needs to be done? Do I need to go shopping for you all? Am I cooking for you all? All of these things, and then, my dad, he had different tastes on different days.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, well, I want this. And I was like, okay. And then when I get it for him, it's like, well, no, I don't want it now. Mm-hmm. And so there was a level of frustration. So, as a caregiver, you're trying to do everything you can to make them comfortable. And so, I think that the machoism kind of goes away a little bit when you realize, particularly from a caregiver standpoint, in that, here's this person that I looked at as my hero and the strong person in the family, and now he's dependent so much on me. Mm-hmm. And how do I handle that at the same time as still trying to raise a family? And really, I just kind of had to get out of my own way. And just let God lead me to where He wanted me to be, and He really directed me and ordered my steps in terms of like, just kind of be patient, be prayerful, and be mindful that you don't know as much as the doctors say, well, yeah, we got it all. Don't take for granted those times that you spend with them, because, again, when I carried him to the hospital the last time, I didn't expect to get the news that, he wasn't coming out.
Right.
And so I always remember being in the hospital with him, and the last good day that we had with him was a day that I was supposed to go and get drone training for cell tower inspections. And I told him, I said, well, Dad, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the training now. And he said, no, go ahead and do it, I'm gonna be fine. And I prayed about it, and my answer came back that Monday and said, no, there'll be other times to get this training. And so I told him that, and when I told him that, I think he was relieved, but at the same time, it almost made him feel like, I can rest now. He's gonna be all right. He's making the kind of decisions that, perhaps you need to make in order to ensure that the family is okay. You had to make sure Mom was okay. So yeah, as a caregiver, as a man, my pride had to get out of the way, and I just had to think about somebody other than myself at that point in time.
One of the things I want to say, Eric, Brother Gerald, is that I know there are men caregivers, but majority of the time it's a woman who really take care of the family. But to see that you took time and you rearrange your life, your life was rearranged, and I'm sure that put a certain strength within your father and your mother,
right?
You know, because it's just hard. Priscilla is a caregiver, and just listening at watching her and my sister, it's something to deal with people who are not feeling well.
Yeah.
The caregivers are angels, there's no doubt, because you know, my wife Susan, you know, when I was sick, you know, and I get emotional about it.
It's okay.
You know, because when you're sick, you get grumpy. You know, when I first got diagnosed, you know, and my parents came up from Panama City to help out, they were sticking me 3 times a day and getting all this blood out of me 3 times a day. And after a certain time, you get tired. You get tired of getting poked on. You get tired of getting prodded and, you know, checking your chest, checking your spleen. It just, after a while, it wears you out. And, you know, snapping sometimes at your caregiver. You know, I did that. You know, at my parents, at my wife, at my kids. And even now, in some days when I don't feel good, you know, you get a little snappy. But, you know, without my caregivers, you know, I wouldn't be here. I guarantee it, because they keep you sane. They keep you. They take a lot of the anger from you, because they know that you're fighting it. But yeah, I couldn't done without them.
Wow. You still can feel it.
Yeah, you can still feel it.
Yeah,
And you know, cause I believe God gives you angels. He does.
I believe that.
Especially in your darkest time. You know, he's not gonna let you go.
Yeah.
He'll be there. He'll give you some angels to help you out, and they were my angels.
Yeah. And now you all get to turn around and be others' angels, you know, because you have been through certain things. And Eric, I can just imagine what could have gone through your head. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2009, and so it's been 10 years since I've had anything. I have to take the Synthor every single day, and sometimes getting up, and if that's not balanced correctly, the Synthor, I have mood swings, and sometimes you feel like you get just aggravated.
Yes.
And you don't want to be around anybody, because you don't want to snap at anybody.
Right.
You know, you do that. But Eric, even how old were you?
Oh wow, it was back in 2001. I'll be 46 now. As I went to law school, I wasn't good at math. I'm probably in my late 20s.
Yeah. And I'm sure right there, hyper your life.
Yeah.
And late 20s. About to pass the bar. Got all of these dreams of this. I mean, you're still a good attorney. I'm thinking, because
I hope so.
Number one, you're a Christian, and so I can hear it in your smile. But at that time, right there, was there any or how did you handle the anger and the frustration, if there was any?
Oh, there was a lot. And like I said earlier, I kept it inside for so long, and my mom still kind of gets on to me about being more emotional, because I still hold a lot of stuff in. But yeah, for a long time I kept it to myself, you know, and I finally learned to start talking about it more. It took me a few years.
Yeah.
And now I've been blessed enough to be physical again. You know, I do triathlons. I've done 2 half Ironmans, and I plan to do a full one next year. So I think keeping myself active when I think about it, you know, pushing myself, because I told myself I wasn't gonna go out like this.
Yeah.
You know, when I die and I'm in my casket, I want to look as rough as I possibly can, because that way I know I had a good time. I did what I needed to do. Because I tell people who are suffering from it, or who just now get diagnosed, that the worst thing you can do is sit in a room all day and think about it.
Yes.
Because to me, that will kill you quicker than anything else.
Yes.
So I made a promise to myself again, that when I was diagnosed, that I was going to see life, live life, you know, experience things that I would never thought I've done before. So I channeled that anger in more positive activities. So it took a while, though. It really did, because that anger, and it still, I still feel. Well, I know I am. I'm still angry about it, and even though I wasn't able to get to the military, I tried a few times afterwards, got in but couldn't get past the medical. Like I got the acceptance letter, but they have to go through different areas. They still wouldn't clear me with medical. And one time my mom told me, she's like, Eric, that's just not God's plan for you.
Right.
And I think when the last rejection came, that's when the light bulb turned on and said, you know, there's an old song, it's a country song that I heard one time saying, if you want to make God smile and make God laugh, tell me your plans. Because he's the one that has a plan, not you.
Right.
So I think when I finally realized when I got that rejection letter that I couldn't get in, it's like, this was not my path. You know, what I wanted was not what God wanted. And when I started living more towards that, things started getting easier.
Yeah. And I think that that's what we have to do in time of crisis. We have to see the silver lining.
Yes.
Even in the time of darkness and in the time of frustration and in the time, and it takes a moment to do that.
Yes.
Because sometimes you have to go in the bed, cover yourself up, or go riding and scream and do what you need to do. And but one of the things I've learned is we have to be careful what we allow out of our mouth at that time.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm bad for that even. You know, my mouth speaks before my brain catches up to it. But yeah, you do have to learn to control that hurt and that anger, because you don't, as much as your caregivers are trying to help you out, sometimes you're in that moment that you don't realize that, hey, they're just trying to help. And then you say something, you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have said that.
And I think that caregivers understand at that moment, even though they get frustrated too.
Oh, yes.
I know they get frustrated. But as you stated earlier, Brother Eric, there are angels.
Yes.
And they, I believe that God give us the right people in our lives in good times.
Yes.
So when we get to these hard times, they're able to bear some things. Those who run away and all that they wasn't fit for you at all. Because there are moments when you just feel like giving up, or you just want to, God, what are you doing?
Yes.
And I tell people it's okay. Yeah. It is okay to, God, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Jesus was like, yo, Dad, is there any way you can do this without me going through this? Could you do it?
Right.
And his dad ain't answer him. He came back, hey, did you hear me? Is there any way you can do it? Then he had 3 friends who went to sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
That was time that he needed the caregivers here on earth to give him some strength, right?
Oh,
like I still ask why, every couple of weeks, because even though it's always on my mind, some days it does still come back to me like, well, why me? Why is this happening? Especially a bad day at work, because I have a stressful job. I love my job, but it's very stressful. And then some days if something doesn't go right, and I'm like, why am I dealing with this? But the Lord doesn't give you any more you can handle. It's just, sometimes I wish He doesn't give me so much, but He's always been there for me. So I'm blessed.
And I kind of, during the time, and I still care for my mom, but at the time when I was caring for both of them, as an only child, it's like, I didn't realize I was supposed to have been doing all of this.
Yeah.
But, there's something about caring for your parents that's a little bit more different in a sense than caring for your kids, because that the parents are kind of on that downside of life when they're trying to just have some peace and peace of mind. Kids are trying to get in there any and everything, and parents just want the little simple things in life, and you're trying to accommodate them and give them that peace that they desire. But I did have to deal with my own frustration with it at times,
What all did you do, Jer? I mean, because we have some caretakers out there who really spend their time, which is okay, taking care of the people that they have to take care of, but they too have to have a time of taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because I read somewhere that sometimes the person that they're taking care of sometimes outlive the caretaker. And that's because they're putting so much of themselves, so much energy. And I see, Eric, you weren't a caretaker, but you're running and you're getting yourself, you keep yourself going. And Brother Tooks, you're doing you need to come do Do we on the drone?
I won't do that. That's easy thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna teach you how to use the drone.
I don't know if that. Yeah, I've been in the courtroom somewhere. Brother Eric and State Attorney Kimberly, get her out of here. You know, but yeah, what did you do? And then everyone to come back and ask you. I want to know some more about the leukemia. I don't know a lot of. I don't know everything about breast cancer, but I don't know a lot about leukemia, and my audience might, but I don't. So if you can share some more of that, and I don't know if the treatment is the same.
It's different because the leukemia that I had is a blood disease. It's
okay.
Blood, mine. I had a high escalation of my white blood cells. My spleen was just giving out way too much than what it should.
Okay.
And my spleen would be enlarged. It looked like a softball on my stomach. Luckily, mine's chronic, which means mine's not the acute version. Once it gets to the acute version, what they call AML, it gets more serious. So the goal that my doctor has me on is to keep me in that chronic CML state, because once I get to the acute, the game kind of changes.
We're gonna pray that you don't make it there.
Yes, ma'am.
That's our prayer. So you do chemo and radiation as well?
I take medication. I was very blessed. When I first got ill, they had to give me some I guess chemotherapy pills to knock down that white blood cell count to kill off the cancer. Okay. Now I'm on what they call Gleevec, and I've been on it for going on 18 years now. Okay. And they call it the cancer killer, but there's no long-term studies on it. So most of my results have come back negative. It's still there. I call it. It's still sleeping. And I hope it stays asleep for a long time.
Yep, stays asleep.
But kind of the weird thing is, and kind of people again make fun of me about this, is that I'm at peace with it now, and I know one day that it probably will come back, and I'm at peace with that, and I know that one day it probably will take me, and I'm at peace with that. But the fact that my goal before I leave is to give inspiration to others who are in my same spot, to know that just because you get it doesn't mean that's the end of your life. I thought I'd only be around for 5 years. I'm going on 18 years now.
Wow, in God, good. I got an audience that's gonna clap for you in just there they are. There they are. That is absolutely fantastic, Eric. And I would say to people who dealing who's dealing with everything out there, just because you have it don't mean you got to die from it.
No, right. Not at all.
And I often say, and one of the things that keep me giving God praise is that I'm living with what a lot of people have died with.
Yes.
And so when you have those moments that you feel in whatever, you start, and I think you said it, Eric, I appreciate life more now, but after that sickness, life is precious. Yes. I don't have time to get mad with folks or hate people, all that kind of stuff. Life is precious.
It is. Yes. It's a gift, and we all have a very stressful portion of our life somehow. Somebody's either stressed with work or finances or whatever, but if you just go outside, just look around and see what God has blessed us with. And the fact that you're still here, that we're still breathing. Unfortunately we live in a time when there's so much anger towards each other. It's just like, why? We're here to experience life, to be a blessing to other people. And if we learn to be a blessing to others, this world will be a lot better place. And we can disagree, but we're all, like we said earlier, we're all children of God. We all one day have to go back to Him and say, this is what I did. Yeah. How did I give your teachings, Lord, to other people? How did I leave this world a better place? And if we can do that, then the world will be a better place.
It would. And just sitting in this room, and I'm so glad to be sitting in here with you two fine gentlemen, because that's the world have to see, that we have men who are dealing with things or who have dealt with things, but who's still strong and powerful. And just because you get a sickness or you have to care for someone who's sick doesn't mean life is over. You're still strong men. I'm looking at two very powerful men in here. And Eric, I just feel the power of God all over. You not sound like Joe Osteen or Kenneth Copeland, somebody. It be coming out me sometime. But and that's what it's all about, because men too need to hear from men. Yeah. That we can go through and still make it.
Yeah, it's okay to be sick. It's okay to have that have something wrong with you if you just accept it and don't make it your prison. You know,
Oh,
accept what's going on
yes,
and find
yes.
the positive out of it. You know, if my doctor was to come back and tell me, Eric, you only got a week left, I'd be like, okay, well, let me enjoy the rest of this week. I'm not going to sit about it. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'll be like, okay, the God's give me these extra days. Let's make the best of it. How can I help other people in these last 7 days that I have?
I know, boy, we'll be flying all over the world. Come on, flying all over the world. Come on, you got to get your life. You got to enjoy life.
Well, my doctor told me when I first was diagnosed, I asked her, I'm like, well, how long do I have? And she goes,
Did you?
Yeah, she goes, look at your foot. I'm like, let me look at my foot. She goes, look at your foot. Okay. She goes, is there an expiration date on your foot?
My
I'm like,
Lord.
no,
Wow.
ma'am. She goes, only God knows when your last day is, not me. And that hit hard because it is. We all have that date written in that book that says when we're going to go. And until that time, be a blessed.
Live.
Yeah, live life.
Just
enjoy
live,
life.
just live life, you know.
Absolutely.
Because, and I like that. We don't know if our foot got expiration date on there or not. But that's a good, but that's good, you know. Sometimes we take all of the negative, all of the things that come that and we just, you're gonna cry initially.
Yes.
And you may cry doing it, but live.
Yes.
And I think you have to find people who are living.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because we can find those who are not living, and then all of us can, as you just stated, all of us can be in that prison, in that cave, saying the same thing. All of us can be in there.
Yeah.
All of us can. How did you keep your daddy strengthened?
I think more so just my dad really, was a strong person in all of this. He was the one that didn't want anybody to feel sorry for him, and he's like, nobody told me that I was leaving here, and so even up until the time that he was still working, from the hospital bed. And the ironic thing is, I just started my company earlier that year, January 2016. And I'm, you're starting off a new business, you're struggling, you're trying to, find your way. And I remember him asking me a couple of times. He said, "Well, what is it going to take?" I said, "Well, I need cash flow is not where it needs to be at this point in time." And I remember him calling a couple of friends of his who were investors and said, "Listen, this is what Gerald is trying to do." And I was like, "How are you doing this? And we sitting up here worrying about your health." His attitude was, as long as I have breath,
Oh yeah.
I'm still alive. And so I found my strength through him, and which it pushed me to continue to do the things that I needed to do in order to help him. So for him, it was the most important thing for him was making his appointments, eating the right food at the time, a certain level of comfort that he needed to make sure, and he wanted me to make sure that I understood how to deal with my mom, because it's almost like he was preparing me
To take care of your mom.
To take care of my mom. Gerald, you need to be aware of this about your mother. She's not, and she had the same type of leukemia that Eric suffered from.
Okay. And how long did your mom have that leukemia?
It was like maybe around the same time, I believe. Maybe a little bit, around the same time. She retired from teaching in 95. And she had been in remission for like 11 years when my dad had, so around 2001, 2002 when we discovered that she had leukemia. And she was on the Gleevec.
Okay.
And my mother's actually a case study when they took her off the Gleevec. Because she's been, doing so well. Yeah. And so, as a matter of fact, just a week or so ago, she went for her annual to make sure that she was, they were still not in the system. So, and that was because she was so miserable, taking that Gleevec.
Okay.
It takes, like as Eric says, it takes a lot out of you, and all prodding and things that were going on. So, again, having to witness that at the same time and trying to deal with Dad kind of took its toll. So I had to find ways to kind of, breathe and bring myself back, you know, to me in a sense, you know.
Right. And Eric, I'm looking at you, you know, and I know that you said that you had lost a lot of weight. And
yeah, when I first got sick, I lost about 60 to 70 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it gradually, or did it? I mean, I'm just kind of
gradually,
looking a little bit.
Yeah, and that's when we went down to see my parents, because I was up in law school in Michigan at that time, where I'm from originally, and we came back down and saw my parents. My mama looked at me. She goes, "Eric, you just don't look right. You've lost a lot of weight." And that's when I, you know, was studying, you know, the craziness of law school. So I went from I was close to almost probably 190, almost 200. I got down about 135, 140.
Okay.
And then slowly over time, I built my weight back up. But yeah, the medication, you know, even now, and when I first got out in Gleevec, I would try to avoid going out to dinner with family because, you know, certain things that you would eat, it would not go well with your medication. And even now, some things that I eat I have to stay away from because I get sick, and I still stray away from going out to lunches or going out to dinners because, you know, nobody wants to, you know, see you get sick, you know, after having dinner or anything like that. So for a while, I strayed away from going out because I didn't want people to see me ill. But yeah, I lost a lot of weight.
So it still makes you sick now?
Yeah, certain foods, yes, ma'am. And certain days, I'll have a good day or a bad day. I just feel like yuck. You just feel yuck. And but luckily those days have done a lot less. I've had a lot more good days than bad days, which is a blessing.
Yes.
But yeah, certain foods that I eat, there's no way I can eat it anymore because I get so deathly sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Since we got these two men on here who are dealing with things, that I'm gonna come back. I mean, we're not going anywhere, but I'm gonna open up the lines. And if you have a question for either Eric or Gerald, and you want to say something, or you want to ask them a question, call us 850-205-1410. 850-205-1410. Another thing, why is it that men don't like to go to the doctor?
We're stubborn. We're stubborn.
Yeah, we are. I know, you know, again, this opened up my eyes a lot more. I mean, it wasn't that I wouldn't go to the doctor, but at the same time, for me, you know, I take it a lot more serious now. So if they're telling me, hey, you know, it's time for a colonoscopy, or if it's time for, you know, any kind of check that I need, I'm there.
You're going in.
I'm going in.
There you go. And sometimes we do have wake up calls.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
You know, we have wake up calls from people around us, and I pray that this show today waking up some men who would go to the doctors and women. You know, that we would go. I had a procedure done yesterday that was one of the most unpleasant, and it wasn't a mammogram. The mammogram was, I told him I might be able to take mammogram after mammogram after that procedure yesterday. That was a terrible procedure. I did not like it, but my doctor felt that I needed it. And since my doctor felt that I needed it, I'm like, hey, ain't no need in dying if I don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think with men, you know, a lot of it's time too. Well, we're too busy to do this. We're too busy to do that. 2 hours out of your day to save the rest of your life. You know, you really, because you to get that, to have somebody sit right in front of you and say you have cancer, you can't explain it. It's a sledgehammer to the face. Right. It's like, wow, what do you mean? Especially when I was so young. But to do what you can to avoid that talk, just do it. You know, 2 hours out of your day, that's what you do at night, watching TV after work. Just, you know, eating dinner and watching TV. You know, take those 2 hours, invest in yourself just for that one time a year, and just get it done, because you know, if it's not for you, do it for your family.
Do it for
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, brothers, I hope you all are listening. We have Brother Eric Tremblay, and we have Brother Gerald Tooks, and they're here telling you, go get yourself checked. You know, go get a check. Now, do they do breast cancer check on men? No. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that, you know, like I said, if I felt a lump or something hard, you know, I may ask the doctor. It's like, you know, I'm feeling a little discomfort here, and you know, maybe they may run some checks on it then. But you know, you know, I don't think that's something that's, and maybe because it's only 1%. But it's, you know, such a small percentage. But again, for me, since it hit me personally, I always check now.
So would you all think that if cancer any kind of way in your family, that would be just a good ask to the doctor, say, this particular cancer is in my family, even if not a lot of the family members had it, or one or two had it, just to say, and this is for the men and the women, just to say, would you check this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to have that relationship with your doctor, especially during your physical time. If you just go in there for the first time, meet your doctor, let them know everything you have, let them know the family history, and let them check you for everything. Because, my grandmother had leukemia, and the weird thing is they said it's not hereditary, but she had leukemia. We didn't know how she died, because she died when my dad was very young.
Okay.
But she died from leukemia-related symptoms. I think it was pneumonia, but and then it skips that generation, skips my dad, and his brothers, and then comes to me. So I'm thinking it's genetic, but the doctor tells me no, it's not genetic. It's just one of those freaks of nature. So, but I still think, tell your doctor what you have. Even though my grandmother may have had it, well, she did have it, and it was not genetic, she still did have it. Still check me out. My dad, he's had, God bless him, he's had heart condition, he's had cancer, he's had back issues, he's had arthritis issues. So I tell my doctor everything, just for them to check me out for everything that he has.
Yeah, and I know that I start asking my mom and different, what have you had? What's in the family? Grandmama, Aunt Willie Pearl, or anybody? What has any? Because we need to know.
Yes.
And then if you have children, you need to know so you can tell your children.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I want to say to the brothers, please get checked. It takes nothing away from your manhood.
No, not at all.
It takes nothing away from it. And even when you fall on hard time. It takes nothing away from your manhood, but you just need to find some more brothers who have the faith, who have been there, who can help you go, even if they still there. If they have made it through, and y'all can come in the first or second step, at least they can help you get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell people that I meet, I'm like, look, I may not know the person, like say a family member or a brother or sister got, or a spouse got sick. I'm like, here's my number, have them call me, because it's hard that once you have it, talking to people who don't have it. When two people who have the same thing, they kind of have that connection, and it really helps to talk to somebody. And again, I'm not saying don't talk to a caregiver.
Right.
Definitely talk to them.
Right.
But find somebody who's going through the nightmare with you,
yeah.
and say, hey, look, I've been there with you. I know what it's like. I'll hold your hand and walk through it with you.
Right.
Call me 24/7. I tell people, even people today that's listening today, if they have it and they want to talk to somebody, call me. I'll be glad to walk it through with you, because to walk with somebody will make it a lot easier than dealing with it on your own. If you don't want to talk to a caregiver, if you don't want to talk to your wife or to your husband, find somebody who has it and then reach out to them, because they will make the journey a lot easier. Don't fight it alone. Just don't do it by yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah,
no.
You really don't have to. Even as caregivers, I remember doing a television show, and one of the guests we had talked about caregivers, and I never thought that I would be a caregiver.
Yeah.
And just remembering some of those conversations about caregivers and how important they are and the role that they play in making that person who has cancer or who's ill feel comfortable. And you don't look at it as really, a job, but it's more so, as the word said, caregiver. You genuinely care about that person, whether it was a family member or a personal friend or whatever the case may have been. Yeah. You genuinely care about that person. You want to do everything you can to make them comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, right before we wrap up, again, you all, next Thursday, you're going to hear Eric Moore. And I'm looking forward to hearing you some more, Eric.
Thank you very much.
You are just sitting here these few minutes. I can see that you're one awesome
I appreciate that.
man.
Yes,
And so, and to have you to serve in our state attorney's office, I think we're blessed.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to say thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you. You're going to say something else before we leave. I'm just doing a I'm going to wrap up before we get out of here. And Jerry, I want to thank you and for being here and being a male caretaker.
Thank you.
Taking care of your mom even now, and
Yes.
taking care of your father. And I love your shirt in honor of James N. Tooks. I love that. Real men wear pink.
That's
There
it.
you go. Amen.
Real
Absolutely.
men wear, but it is an honor to have men who would take time to take care of their parents.
Yes.
You are to be commended.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say? What are some words? And y'all, if you want to call 850-205-1410. And I know somebody want Eric's number. This is what I'm gonna do. If you want it, I don't know if you want to give it out over this Facebook right now.
I can give it to you, and they can call in. And,
Give it to me, and we'll get it to you. And the reason why I'm doing that, because he is an attorney and work, and I know that some of y'all not gonna call him because you want him to talk to you about sickness. I felt that in the spirit. You're not gonna call because you want to talk about sickness. You want him to help get you off.
Well, actually, I'm a prosecutor, so you probably don't want to.
You don't want to call him.
Yeah, if you got a legal issue, you might not want to call me.
You do not want to call him for real. That's right. He's on the. Forget it. Yeah, you don't want to call Eric.
But we still help out. We still here to help.
Yeah, they'll get you into jail. But we do it, and I appreciate you offering to do that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you offering to do that. That was wonderful. What would you say to caregivers who's take care of their mom, taking care of anybody? What would you say to them?
Do it in a loving way. They're going through something that you probably don't understand. You're not going to be able to. You just want to make it easier for them. Whatever it is that they are going through, or whatever it is that they're dealing with, you want to make it as easy as possible for them. So there are lots of patience that you got to have, and but at the same time, lots of love.
And do it in love.
Mm-hmm.
And do it in love. And if you can't do it yourself, get some help.
Get some help.
Get some help. Don't let them suffer.
No.
If there's any way possible, get some help. My mom was telling me there's a lady, she's in a nursing home because she has absolutely no one to care for her. I mean, no one. And we don't want to live like that.
That's heartbreaking.
That was sad.
Yeah.
That was sad. And so, my mom is up in age, 80. God has blessed her to live, but my sisters have been going out to the nursing home to see her and all that. And I want to say to other people, live so somebody will serve you.
Absolutely.
Live so somebody want to help you. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get old and nobody want to help.
Right.
Eric, say something to the people. We got a lot of people dealing with cancer in one form or another, or another type of sickness in one form or another. Speak some words of life to them.
Don't give up. Have faith in God. Have faith in your family. Know that you are not alone. That there are people who love you that may not even know you. I love you. We're all children of God, and we're all here to help you. So don't think you have to do this by yourself. Don't think you have to close the door and sit and wonder why. Go out, live life, watch the birds, take a walk, take into yourself what a blessing it is to be alive, because you never know that the battle that you're dealing with could help somebody else out. So even though you may be struggling, there may be another person out there who's going through the exact same thing, and the blessing that you could be to them is what matters. So don't take pity in yourself. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry, but it's okay to live too. This is not a death. This is not a death sentence. Yeah. The only thing that holds you back is what's in your mind. If you believe you can achieve, it definitely can happen. So have faith in yourself. Have faith in God. Have faith in your family and friends. Show some love to everybody, and just realize that you are not alone, that there are people here to help, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. That was my problem at first. I did not want to ask for help, but when I started to open up more about it, it started becoming easier. Now, it's still hard. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be hard, but you do not have to walk that journey alone. There are people here that will help you and will be with you and will be with you till the end, and I'll be here for you.
Yeah, and y'all know Judy Mandrell, Real Talk with Judy. I'm here for you, and I think we got some good guests who are here. Dr. Davis is, as I said, unfortunately wasn't able to be here, but she too is here for you. This always her show right before the cancer knockout banquet. Just want to remind you all that the Cancer Knockout Banquet is next Thursday, October the 24th at 7 p.m. at the Capital City Country Club. And so it is on the page. So go ahead and do that. Go to her page. Go to I think it's T.K.O. Survivors .com. I'm saying that so wrong, y'all, but it's at Eventbrite. Look it up. Go ahead and register for it. Those of you listening, listen. Right before I get out of here, I got 3 important things to say. Number 1, Thursday is my 38th wedding anniversary.
Hey, congratulations.
Thursday's my wedding anniversary. We've been married 38 years.
Congratulations.
Baby, I love you so much. And then Saturday, 2 special people in my life. Birthday, Dr. Tawanda Davis' birthday is October the 19th. And my son and brother, Minister Douglas Waddell. Happy birthday to y'all. Listen, again, Eric, thank you. Gerald, thank you. Tawanda, thank you. We're so glad for the show. And next week, we're going to have the FSU Black Student Union. They're gonna be on here next week. Y'all know it's homecoming week coming for them, and so we're gonna have them on there. But listen, Sunday at 10 a.m. at Life Changers, and I'm inviting everybody. My Leadership Tallahassee 36 class is coming to church with me. Yes, Leadership Tallahassee 36, and I want to invite all the Leadership Tallahassee to come on to church with me Sunday. That's 601 Mickey Sickey Road here in Tallahassee, Florida. Listen, get yourself checked. Come to the banquet. Cancer Knockout. T.K.O. That's tough. What totally knocking out cancer. I know it's technical, but it's totally knocking out cancer. And that's Real Talk. You've been listening to the Real Talk with Judy show. I am Dr. Judy, your Real Talk host. And guess what? I see us in the better, and this world is better because of us. That's Real Talk.
Real Talk. Tallahassee's Inspiration Station. We are Heaven 98.3.